terrorized, and we love him. It's our guy, Fen. Cheese! Clap it up for yourself one time. Clap for yourself.
What's up, everybody, man? First of all, welcome to the Fen and Friends Podcast. And today, you guys are in for an amazing treat because I got one of the most iconic friends that I probably have. The GOAT, my mentor. This man's been doing comedy for 30 plus years. This man is a pillar to our comedy community. And welcome, Talent, the comedian, is in the building.
Yeah, man. Yo, what up, though? What's up?
What's up,
First of all,
man?
super proud of you, man. You know
Thank
that.
you.
I tell you, I'm never going to stop telling you that, bro, because you stay 24/7 around the grind. You know what I mean? So you remind me 24/7 to tell you how proud I am.
Man,
thanks for having me, man.
I appreciate that, man. People like you, man, they come far and few between, man. Like, the reason why I'm on the grind is because you doing comedy for 30 plus years. Every time I go on your Instagram or your website, I can't keep up. Like, what keeps you going? What keeps that energy and that drive?
Basically just the love for it. Like, you got to get to a point. I think as I hang out with other comics over the 32 years, it's like there's some people that we like cut from the same cloth, and then some people like, okay, you're a little different than me. You don't have the love for it. I still go to shows now.
Yeah.
And see cats. And they ain't even got to have 30 years, but they tired. They don't want to be there, complaining about stuff. Then you don't have the love for this, because I'm happy to be here. Like, people say it all the time. This is the irony. Comedians say it all the time. Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Happy to be here. I never say that.
Yeah.
And I'm the happiest dude to be there, but I never say it because I feel like I don't have to say it because I'm going to show you.
I see it all the time. And, like, I heard this quote the other day by Tony Yayo. He was saying how he was watching 50 Cent work. And he was like, yo, when the person in the room that makes more money than you is still working harder than you, you got to reevaluate yourself. And every time I look at what you're doing, I feel like, yo, I'm not working hard enough. I'm not working, because you are constantly in motion, man.
That's deep.
Like, you have dates. Like, I bet you have dates like from next year. Like,
well, absolutely. I mean, and what you said is, it's like, I love when people can recognize something, and though it's simple when they say it, it's the deepness of that. Think about that. That's deep. I feel like that with, like, the whole thing going on with Deion Sanders, right? And, you know, we all know, if you grew up watching football and Deion do his thing, he was a flair guy.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to boost. He said in an interview, I got to be my battery on my back, because nobody's doing it for me. So I got to do it so I don't forget and push myself to be as dope as I can. And then sometimes people take that wrong, like, you think you all that, or blah, blah, blah. Deion said, listen, please don't mistake my confidence and let it offend your insecurities. I said, ooh, gangster.
Were you always that confident in the game?
Yeah, you had to be, because this is when I came in, and it's even worse now. I think you can multiply it to the 100th power. But in the 90s, when I started to professionally do comedy, it was super competitive, bro. It was super competitive. So the hard part was to find your lane. What is going to be your lane? Because everybody's getting up here. Everybody's talking jokes. Back then, everybody was screaming and yelling. You know, I look at that as my my blueprint. If I was still screaming and yelling like I was as a young comic, 23 years old or something like that, I made no progress. And you have to evolve and find yourself.
And you had to find yourself in the mix. Like, you came up with, like, a lot of, like, legends of the day, like the J.B. Smooth, like the Tracy Morgans, the whatever. And then some people were, like, grew up with you from Mount Vernon.
Yeah, J.B. Smooth and me came in the same projects. He was in one building, I was in another building. J.B. had me by about 3 years difference. So when I was going into high school, my first year, it was his last year type thing. Crazy. You know what I mean? But he also, he's always going to be my number one comedian because of the simple fact, of course, he's stupid funny, but first guy to put me on stage.
But when you seen your peers pop, it never changed your voice.
No.
You still
That's when people come through me, I end up becoming the guy, the conduit, if you will, that pushed everybody through, from Kevin Hart to Mike Epps to Chris, like, all those guys had to come to New York at some point and work in the battlegrounds, and I'm the guy, the key to every gate. And so you go through that. Now, the way I look at it, most people, if you small-minded, yo, you don't put me on. Give me some money, blah, blah, blah. I don't look at it like that. I look at that like money and credit in the bank.
Yeah.
You know, I got dudes out there that just the other day, like, it feels good to be that guy no matter what day of the week it is. Somebody across the world in some place, some city or state. Yo, T, we in, my boy from the Harlem Globetrotters hit me the other day. We in Tampa. Yo, your man D. Ray Davis is at the Improv. You think you can give me and my wife a ticket? Hey, D. Ray, my peeps over there, man. You think how many you need, T?
Yo,
that feels so good. That's money in the bank.
That's money in the bank.
That's credit and money in the bank. Now, these same people, and I mean anybody, anybody from the top to the bottom of the breadwinners, I can do that too, right? And it's all good, no love lost. Can you imagine if I beat all their doors down for their money?
Real,
like, yo, you owe me, dude. I helped you. Then they're not picking your call up.
I get excited every time I hear like a celebrity name drop you, and I'm like, yo, I don't know if talent. I text you like, yo, did you hear? Yo, Chris Rock just said your name 3 minutes 50 seconds into the video. Like I get excited.
Yeah.
Like when you hear like your name constantly getting dropped by your peers, like how does that make you feel?
Oh, it feels great because all it is like you want people to move like you move, meaning I keep it 100 all the time. Like I try my best. I don't have to try, but I know I do my best to not falsify stuff and make stuff or embellish. So when I hear those guys 3,000 miles somewhere different, I ain't spoke to you. I ain't, preampt you like, yo, shut up. And you just naturally talk in the conversation and use me as an analogy or an example or give homage or whatever. I think that's dope because in that moment, that person's just keeping it real.
Yeah, I see that. And I feel like that's going to continue on for you because what you do that I don't really see a lot of your peers do, you always come back for like the younger comics, the up and coming, or the ones that are, been doing it for a certain times, but you always come back. Like, what makes you do that and the others don't?
Probably because I'm a Magic Johnson fan. And Magic did that to the game of basketball. Magic made everybody around him better. While everybody's working on individual skills and talents, Magic was like, nah, Kurt Rambis going to drop 20 tonight. Baron Scott going to drop 20 tonight. Whoever he's seen fit, he had that facilitator gene. I got the facilitator gene, so it's like it behooves me. I'm for the game. Yeah. And this is part of the reason why people think I'm one of the better hosts of comedy, because I understand the whole show. Like people will host a show, but they be going ham for self. So they didn't think about who's coming up next. Should I tone it down a little bit so they could rock and then come behind them and rock? Or you just going for self every time?
And I do feel like you always challenge us too as well. Like you'll be like, you know what, Fen? All right. Like you don't tell us the lineup when we get there. You're like, you feature, you headline. I'm like, yo, like you going up first. I need you to, and you're just like, whatever you put us on, like we're like ready. But you you helped us get there, man.
And I owe that to the guys before me. So shout out to rest in peace Monteria Ivy, who was the original host of the Uptown Comedy Club. Terry Hodges, Hamburger, like all those guys before me, Bill Bellamy. Wow. Those guys before me that passed the baton of hosting to me also molded me and gave me the jewels of how to do this. Hey, you gonna host? Yeah. Because at that time I popped up out of nowhere. I was hosting 5 rooms, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Sunday. So I had all these rooms, and it was like, all right, dude, I'm gonna pass this to you. Do it right. Do the game right.
Yeah. You're doing it right, man. Like just speaking for myself, man, you helped me in this comedy game. I've been doing comedy for 13 years, and what you've done for me, man. Like, I can't even put it into words, just by watching, too, but more so just, like, you're, like, always one call or text away, and I appreciate that. I mean, you hosted for my headlining debut at Caroline's, which was
dude is a beast, insane. Yo. He killed it, man.
And, I don't know, like, stuff like that. That's why I wanted you here today, because I wanted to give you your flowers. I wanted to show you the so much appreciation, man, because I feel like you deserve it. Like, I see you putting up people from Virginia, Baltimore, D.C., Chicago. Like, I see it on the fly. You just one FaceTime, one call. Like, without even seeing it said, I think you go off kind of energy, too, sometimes. Like, of like personality and vibe. And, like, when I see that, it's like, you're somebody that if the comedy game is watching, man, we need to protect and we need to, like, always give talent his flowers. I just want to say that. I brought the Heinekens here.
I see. Got a little nostalgia in this joint, little keeping it real.
For those of y'all that don't know talent, man, but I'm pretty sure everybody does. But for those of y'all that don't, when he's on stage, this man reps this. This is his drink.
You know what's crazy is like this is three things when I hit a stage, especially if I haven't been, like say I hit a city and the people come out and ain't seen you in a while. They expect to see that Heineken bottle. They expect to see this chain right here, right? Yeah. And hit them with the, it's just comedy. So those three things, when you miss one, they're going to remind you at the end of the show. But you know what's crazy about the Heineken bottle was, I was telling you off air, that wasn't even the original choice to hold. Now, let's go back to why I hold the bottle, period. I hold the bottle because what I noticed with watching comedy, right? I noticed that because I grew up watching a lot of comedy, first listening because we were young, we had the Richard Pryor albums. Then you started, you know, the Comedy Centrals and the shows come on, so you get to see them now. And I noticed in stand-up comedy, 99% of the time, because there's this underlining nervous energy.
Yeah, we get it.
And that hand that's not holding the mic start doing stuff. And then you look nervous. And so if I'm in the crowd and you, came out yesterday and the hand doing all types, because the energy got to go somewhere. So I said, let me occupy that hand. So I got the mic, and I just said, you know, I'm going to look cool with it because I'm just sipping a drink. Yeah. So at the time, the original drink, I wasn't really drinking like hard liquor at the time, so it was beer. So it was a brown bottle. It was actually Budweiser first. So all the people that, if you go back to the first choice, it was Budweiser. So as the game kept going on, the game kept changing. It went from you can hold it on stage to, okay, now the Budweiser company hits up the production company of whatever TV show, and they got to pay them because you got that logo. So now they would say either you can't hold a bottle at all, right? Like the regular TV. So I had to pour it in a cup. If you look at Apollo, I had to pour it in a cup. But when we went
that
to
was a coffee cup too.
Yeah, back then that's all you had. When you had gone to BET or HBO and those in Comedy Central, then you can do it, but they would make you take it in the back, run it under water to peel off the label. So now you just got a bottle. Yeah. So, you know, there's no indication of what it is. Then I started hosting the rooms. The beer and beverage companies used to come out I used to do radio stuff like BLS after work, KISS after work, right? So their sponsors would be the beer companies. So they would look at me and be like, this guy holds beer all the time. Hey, hold our beer. Wow. So it went from, I was the Bud, then the Coors Light, and then Heineken, back then, believe it or not, MySpace was out, right? So this is when advertising first started popping on social media. Ultimate and they was like, yo, why don't you hold the Heineken and we'll pay you, and then on your page you have a banner up and you promote the Heineken. And I never looked back from that. First ones to give me money, give me a check, was Heineken, and it stayed Heineken after that.
This man, first of all, I should have known already. I should have known this. This man's an ultimate hustler. You are one of the ones that kind of show me the business side of the show.
Right.
Did you always know that?
It happened about a year and a half in. You know, I got my first kind of dope booking like in a hotel ballroom up in New Rochelle. And math was always my thing in school. Like math, I'm just always, so I see numbers, I get intrigued or whatever. And I went to the show. I think I was getting about, no lie, I think I was making $150 that night. And it was about 4 comedians, a host, 3 comedians, and the DJ. So I think I think I was the middle, 150. So you probably had a 100 guy, $150 guy, somebody probably making 250, right? The host probably was getting a couple hundred. So I'm outside. I didn't go in the ballroom. I'm at the desk where they take the tickets and the money. And I'm looking at the girls exchange, and they was like, before I went in, I said, how's the crowd tonight? They said, it's real good. It's almost sold out. And then I watched like 6 to 8 people come down, buy the last tickets, but they had to pay at the door, so it was like $40, 40, 45. And it was like, all right, that's it, ladies, we sold out. I said, y'all sold out? I opened that door, man. I said, how many holes? I said, 350. This place was packed, the ballroom, right? I'm like, this is beautiful. But my math brain said 35.
You remember how much you was getting paid?
Times 350, $150. Jeez. So I'm like, I got to figure out the other side of that. So I'm looking at everything. Well, I got rent a room, right? Do the flyers, tickets, book the comedian. I said, I got to be on that side. Yeah. I did the number. The numbers was, dude, there's no way. All your bills is like $2,000. Yeah. And you're clearing 12,000.
And it doesn't take away from your art, too. Like,
no, if you learn it and know how to do it, and here's the thing too, it ain't something that, again, once people understand we don't have to be selfish and do everything ourselves, this is where you bring in partners. Yeah. This is where you find like interest people. Like, you know what? My man right here, he into accounting. Do the numbers for me.
Yeah, yeah.
This dude in the street, he's always at the parties in the club. Do the flyers.
So like when I see you like watching you on stage is cool, right? When the show is over, the way people like rush to come to your table, whether they're gonna purchase something or not, but just to greet you, they always buy the It's Just Comedy merch and stuff like that. Like, man, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you like pretty much like you sell out you come with a suitcase and you leave empty? Like, what's the like?
Well, the thing is this, man. The smartest thing I was able to understand is that the game is the nucleus, and it's bigger than you. So I'm not gonna run around selling things that say talent Harris, talent. No, it's just comedy. Before people knew my name, because I was one of those guys. When I first got on TV, people would crack up, they would love me, but they knew the voice, they knew the talking, they would forget the name. But what they would never forget was, it's the guy, he goes, it's just comedy. They would never forget that. Yeah. So I was like, that was God tapping me and telling me, dude, your brand, that right there is going to live beyond you. It's just comedy. When you're gone, people are going to still say it's just comedy and keep it moving. And so I said, okay, cool. I started making T-shirts. The first T-shirt I made, I didn't get it yet. It was the 90s. But what I needed to do was, black comedy was on the rise. So my first T-shirt was the Superman S, and it said support black comedy. That was my first shirt I sold, and they would fly off the thing. But now when you fast forward 30 plus years, there's no more black comedy.
Did you ever fear, like, not fear, but like was concerned, like they're going to say, yo, who's this guy selling shirts? Or who this guy think he is selling shirts or stuff like that, or selling hats, or like, after, and when all the comics go home and you're the one that's still like, you ever got that?
Yeah, but you know what I got before that? And I didn't realize this till about 10 years later, because my white friends in the game didn't have the balls to tell me in real time. Yeah. I found out 10, 12 years later, I think it was like, I'm telling you, I was friends with Darryl Hammond, Bill Burr, and all those guys, right? They would frequent the Boston Comedy Club. And it wasn't until 12 years later where they said, yo, can I tell you some shit? Keep it real? I was like, yeah. It's like, yo, we used to be like, before we even knew who you was, seen what you looked like, whatever, we was like, who the fuck is this guy? who he think he is, name himself talent. This is how white people looked at it. Black people, we make nicknames different. Yeah. We don't think of it like that. Yeah. It's just, when I made the name, to be honest with you, I was in high school and I needed a name. I did graffiti and commercial art, all this stuff. And in graffiti, I needed a name to encapsulate all the stuff I did. I played 3 sports. You know what I mean? I rapped, I DJ'd, you know what I mean? I breakdanced and graffiti, all this stuff. And I came up with talent because it encapsulated everything. You got everything. But when comedy hit, they was like, who the fuck is this guy I think he is?
I heard the same thing happen with the Kings of comedy and everything. They were saying, yo, who do they think they the Kings? Like, why do they think they the Kings? Like, it's constant hate. Like, we're
so individualized, bro. Like, we can't see the bigger picture. And that, that phrase, get out of your own way? Yeah. We're in our own way half the time. Yeah. That's a fact. Like, we didn't even think of it like that. When we did Kings, all those guys, the original Kings, New York Kings, were guys who were hosting their own rooms, and they had a stronghold on a certain audience. Rob had the Bronx.
First of all, let them know what Kings are, just in case.
Oh, the New York Kings are comedians Rob Stapleton, Capone, this is the original ones, Gerald Kelly, Drew Frazier, and myself. So those 5 guys, when we first started, Drew was hosting his rooms, Gerald had his following in his room. Rob had one of the best rooms. Capone had BBQ. Like, we all had constant rooms. Yeah. So the idea was this. The idea was we can sell out some of these smaller theaters, 1,000, 1,500, maybe 2, because each one of us knew we were good for 400 or 500 people apiece back then. We talking about the year 2000, 23 years ago. So that was the idea. Not we better than y'all.
No egos was involved.
Matter of fact, Gerald Kelly was the first one to start the conversation, and he was like, yeah, I know we be beefing sometime and this and that and the third. We need to put all this shit aside and get this money. And everybody agreed, like, you know what? That could work. You know what I mean? The biggest thing with us is we all competitive. We all think we the funniest. The biggest thing is time. Yeah, if we can control the time, we can win. And we end up doing that. And then over time, you fluctuated. Gerald's out, Mark Vieira's in. Drew's out. We decided not to go back to 5 and keep it at 4. It was still potent. You know what I mean? Because at this point, 20 years later, the brand has a life.
Yeah, yeah.
Back then, we needed the 5. We thought we needed the 5. But fast forward, the brand's still bigger than us.
Yeah, man. Selling out Levity Live, selling out Caroline,
Crazy.
selling out everywhere. You know, you had me in a couple of those shows too, which was like insane. Still in awe. At this stage, man, like what other goals do you have? I mean, as a comic watching, I seen you tackle everything: movies, TV shows, script writing, just everything. Like, what's left for you? Like,
well, you don't know because the game of entertainment is ever evolving, right? Is there a few things out there that you can do that you haven't done yet? Absolutely. Like, you know, you can host one of the big award shows. You could, you know, do this or that. But I think 90% of that stuff I did is done, right? Mm-hmm. So now is at a point of sustaining the same. Mm-hmm. Okay, you did that this year. This year's almost over. Can you do that again next year?
Yeah.
2024, you're going to do that same thing again? Yeah. And then when you come to the end of that year, you're going to go, that was a good year. But can you do that in 2025 though?
Yeah.
Like, and that's all it is, because I always use sports analogy. Look at sports. Look at the greatest who do it. Mm-hmm. Can I do it again next year? What does every team who win a championship do? Yeah. Try to repeat that.
Try to get their stats
I'm
better.
trying to stack my chips.
Try to stack the chips. Facts.
At the end of my thing, when it's all said and done and the voice is gone, or I'm in a wheelchair, or God forbid, I'm gone, I want people to go, man, nobody had more chips than him.
But like during that like process, like of all the success, the ups, the downs, like was there like any regrets? Like as a comic, you know?
Only one. There's only one regret. And it's not really a big regret, but it's one of those things, you know, in hindsight, it's 2020. When I first started to percolate, I would say like 4 years in.
It happened that quick for you too.
Yeah, it happened dumb quick. Shout out to Barry Katz, who's a mogul in this thing, right? He's the guy that brought Last Comic Standing out, and Dane Cook and Dave Chappelle. Like, he's huge, and he's a personal friend at this point. And Barry said to me, those 4 or 5 years in, and at the time, we were going through something as a people, so I couldn't hear it the way I needed to hear it. Yeah. We were going through our Black Renaissance thing, and, you know, the man, the white man, all that shit, right? Yeah. So Barry said to me, can I say something to you without offending you? And I was like, absolutely, you can say anything to me. And he was like, I think you need to separate yourself. And I'm like, from what do you mean? Because we used to roll in little cliques. So it was me, Will, Artie Fuqua, my man Xavier, Ian Edwards, Rudy Rush. Like, we had a little clique. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I think you need to separate yourself. And he was seeing something that I was seeing, but he was seeing it in a bigger light and way. And when I fast forward the next 7, 8 years, I said, I get it. Because I started to slowly see people around me, and this is not a knock on them.
This is powerful, man.
It's real. Wow. It's not a knock on them, but when people are around you that much, like all the time, the people who have what they call it starts to bleed into the people around you. And now you start to see too many similarities. You're like, he's not even like that, but he's telling your like jokes. Yeah. Not that he stole your joke, but the whole premise and persona changes. You understand what I'm saying? Like my boy Will.
You lose that glow, you know?
Like back then, you know, I'm fucking a lot of chicks, right? I'm fucking hard. And my boy Will, who was my best friend at the time, he not fucking, right? But then Will would have fuck jokes. And I'm like, you ain't fucking. Yeah. I'm like, you living off of, you seeing what I'm doing is good and the response, and you figure you need to write and do some stuff along them lines, but I'm really speaking my reality. Like comics supposed to do. But this is what he was trying to tell me early on, like, dude, you got something special, you got a lane, now you need to fly alone so people can see it, because right now it just looked like all of y'all kind of the same, because they're slowly, your thing is bleeding out, in other words. Yeah. And I didn't see that till later on. So that's small regret, because that's the difference in probably wasting 7 years than getting a lot more done earlier. You know what I mean? Yeah, but it's not something that I don't lose no sleep over it, but it's it's one of them.
I guess to follow that question, it would be like, damn, like like what is success to you? Like as a comedian, like what is success? Like what's your term of success?
Well, success for everybody is subjective. And we were just talking about this in the comedy club the other night. You got some comics who this is just a stepping stone for them. They don't really love stand-up per se. They're doing this to get seen, to get the next thing, whether it's a TV show, a movie, you know, a tour, you know. For me, this is the real deal, Holyfield. Yeah. For me, stand-up is that thing. So it's always like, no matter how good I am, no matter who I blow out on that stage, I can do better. I can get better. You know what I mean? So molding this thing till it could get to a perfect thing. And I think that's the best goal to set for myself, because You're probably never gonna get perfect, but it that battery in your back keep you striving. You know what I'm saying?
Outside looking in, like watching, like you got a beautiful home, beautiful kids, you're always on tour. It's like that's success to me, and then but like when you start, like I had to, like for me, for instance, I quit my salary job, did all of that, and like the pressures, and then you hit all those topics today about staying in your lane, staying true to your voice, separating yourself, being different is like there's a lot of like fear within that, not fear, I guess more so like not anxiety either, just a lot of uncertainty of not knowing what's the next step, but knowing that you love doing comedy,
right? And
we just gonna figure it out.
But here's where your faith has to be strong. Yeah, faith for me gets me through a bunch of stuff. Like I'm gonna give you a funny example of just last week, right? So we talked about the merch, right? Selling merchandise and everything. So on an average, every other month, sometime through the month, every week, I'm ordering different stuff, right? Hoodies, T-shirts, hats, towels, mugs, whatever. So I put in, because the weather's changing, so I put in the order, a big T-shirt order, because I'm running low, right? This is the funniest thing. So my guy calls me back. He said, I sent the invoice request, shoot me the Zelle money, right? So I'm like, all right. When I look at it, I'm like, that's a lot more than I expected it to be, right? So now, because when you have solid stuff, like you own stuff or whatever, actual tangible cash is the least of my worries. Yeah. So I'll keep around $4 to $5 grand in case some papa want to buy something with cash, right? Yeah. Other than that, I don't have no cash. So the guy sends the invoice, and I'm looking at this astronomical number. So I called him. I said, it's a little crazy. So he calls me back and goes, he said, you wanted hoodies, right? I said, nah, I was ordering T-shirts. He said, I got to redo it then because this is for the hoodies, right? I said, I wasn't going to order hoodies till next month. Right now I need T-shirts, right? Then I thought about it. He said, well, let me do the numbers again for the T-shirt. I said, so when he hit me back, I said, you know what, bro?
Just give me.
Put the double order in, right? So I got the double order there. I got my West Coast order coming in. So basically, I don't have no cash on me once I do all that, right? I got to get this stuff in and flip it. So I'm sitting around. So it's a 2-3 day span. Well, you really ain't got no cash. You sitting there $60, $80. Once I go to the bar, that's gone. That's gone. So I'm sitting there, but I laugh because my faith is so strong.
You're gonna make it.
I'm not worried about being broke for 3 days. Yeah. Because and rightfully so. As soon as I do stuff like that, I go to my mailbox, residual check. Boom. The notification of the phone ping, somebody send a deposit from some. And I always laugh because I say, my faith is so real, bro.
I think with this comedy game and, social media, of course, and everything that's going on, people's anxiety to make it faster is like at an all-time high. So they don't really see that. And
microwave days, we call it. We call it microwave days.
Word?
Yeah, people don't fully cook no more. People in my day coming up, my mom, I go in the kitchen, grandma and mom, and them in there shucking corn, cleaning greens. And if you grew up in a real black household, cleaning chitlins and all the work it took for the preparation of the food. Nowadays, everybody want to put it in the microwave, hit 2 minutes and eat.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. That's a big difference. You missing all of the stuff in between that makes this meal great.
Yeah.
It's not great anymore. You actually eating electricity now. You eating radiation because somebody didn't want to take the time and put the work in. But I tell you one thing, you see the difference on stage. One of the reasons why you one of my favorite dudes coming up behind me is because you don't just ask the questions, you apply the answers. Everybody asks the questions. And the people that ask the question, believe it or not, half of the time, they just want to talk to you. They're not about to use this information. They just want to have a reason to talk to you, right? So you asking the question about, are you using the answers?
Yeah, you got to apply the keys.
When I look at guys like you and Sean Harvey, y'all could ask me one little thing. I go, boom. I go, okay. And then when I see y'all a week later, you applied it.
Yeah.
Nothing makes me more ecstatic, bro.
I got the shirt. I got to get the hoodies now. I'm behind. I'm behind, man.
Yeah, man. But it's real.
When you doing starting a business, I started spin the block comedy and everything. And it's like, I don't think people know the amount of, I guess, like you said, the negative account, not negative account, but the amount of that you dish out before you receive. It's like,
you have to.
I don't think people understand that the business side of things is, everybody wants to be a boss till it's time to do boss shit.
but they don't know how to do it. Like, the number one thing of success, you have to be willing to bet on you.
Yeah.
And betting on you have to be willing to invest in you.
Yeah.
It's something that I say, right? Like, some things you don't say every day. And I know it here, though. And one of my buddies in the bar pulled me to the side, and I thought it was hilarious because I already know it, but it took this dude like over a year to figure it out. He pulled me to the side, and he got on I came out with a new jersey this year for football season. He got on the jersey, right, with the talent, the Heineken thing, whatever.
I seen that.
And he goes, he said, yo, come here, man, you're a funny nigga. I said, what? He said, you got us in here wearing your shit, but we paid you. I said, that's the point. I said, the point is double positive energy on my side. I'm selling merch, right? I'm making my money. But more importantly, you're walking around promoting and marketing me. Whether you could take a trip to Florida.
Don't matter.
In Florida, somebody's seeing you and going, oh, it's just comedy, talent.
Yeah.
And I'm all the way over the other side of the world.
When I seen your son wearing the Talent Heineken jersey on stage, I was like, wow.
Ain't that crazy?
Like, that made me feel, I felt like a dad, bro. I was like, yo, this
And the funny thing, I got to force, I be making him get merch. Like, take the merch, because I'm like, son, let me explain something to you. This is your born name. So if anybody should be wearing all this stuff, all this shit, you should have everything I've made and rock your shit when you want to.
You were speaking about Deion Sanders earlier, but like, how does that feel, like you being a father with your son, like right there? Like, I'm telling you, he's really, really good, man. One of my favorites in this game. Like, how does that make you feel?
I felt great. I mean, I shed tears on a regular basis nowadays because my son is constantly, he's cut from the cloth.
Yeah,
so meaning, when I say that, I mean that same tenacity I got for innovation and creation, he got it.
Yeah, he got it.
So when I'm over here doing this, he'll just ping me with something, whether it's a text or a video or a link or an Instagram share or something that he just created. I'm like, this dude, stay on it. I love it, right?
Good.
And then he'll do stuff every now and then that just makes you like tear up. You know what I mean? Proud. Like, one of my proudest moments this year, I took him to, I got a brother, and one of my older brothers lives in Tampa, Florida. And he had a room down there. They, 5 years, they just closed and they're moving. But I wanted to get my son on that bill one time for two reasons. I want, obviously, a comic, I want you to rock. But more importantly, this side of the family, you don't get to see a lot. So I need you to come out there and see some of your extended family, your uncle, your aunt, your cousins. There's a bunch of your age and everything, right? So I get him out there. The first night, we stayed the whole weekend. So the first night, he does the show at my brother's spot.
Yeah.
Kill it, they love him.
Kill it.
Stays over, we get up, we said we're gonna make it a day, go to the house, go by the pool, my brother's pool, cook out. They brought the kids over, everybody got to meet them, and they was all happy to, talk, and oh my God, it's my cousin from New York and all that. That night, so we leave the cookout, we got the itis, we ate, we tired. We go to the hotel, and my phone ring, and it's Mark Vieira. And lo and behold, Mark is headlining at the Improv downtown. So Mark goes, T, I heard you out here, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, yo, I need you, bro. I said, you need me? He said, yeah, they want to give me some dude on my show. I don't really know him. And he's like, I'm telling you, so show sold out, and I know my crowd. So my crowd is that New York, mostly Spanish, Spanglish, that moved down here. They ain't Florida, you know what I mean? Mostly, he knows his crowd. So I said, okay, well, I said, I'm tired, man. I said, but my son's here with me. I could send him over there. My son's about it back. T, I need you. I was like, can you get up out the bed, Negro? And we starting in about an hour. I'm like, I said, okay, well, here's the thing. I'll come do what you need me to do. Give him a 7-minute guest spot. He said, all right, no problem. Go down there, bro. I get up there, and my son gets that guest spot, bro. Mark is sitting there watching this joint, like, and I didn't realize Mark never seen him. I thought Mark knew, Pulled him in the green room, was like, sitting him in 30 minutes, he's talking to him, like, yo.
Crazy.
Dude, you blah, blah, blah. And went up there, did what I had to do for him. The show was here all night. But that was the night I cried myself to sleep when I went back in my hotel room, like, just taking it all in, like, that's what I'm talking about. Right? That's dope. Got it.
And that's dope, too, that you, like, reach out to clubs and, like, put them on and stuff like that. Like, I always felt like, why not? Like, why not access your credits, man? Your power. Why not? It's like when I used to hate when growing up, there was like, oh, that's just your dad's car. That's just your dad's car. Like they'll talk to why yeah, why
Yeah, why wouldn't I drive my dad's car? It's a nice car.
They always try to make you feel bad or feel away or like their insecurities. Like, nah, run it up. Run it all the way up.
What do we say? Don't let my confidence fucking insult your insecurities, bro.
You know, in this show, in the Fen and Friends podcast, we got like a couple segments, man. And some of the segments that I have is I have a chill segment, which is pretty much like what happened during the week that you got to be like, yo, chill. That was crazy. Mm-hmm. And then I have, talk to you nice segment, like who pretty much in this world. Oh, I don't know. It's up to you, you know. Mm-hmm. But the reason why a club, a venue, a person, the reason why they have to talk to you nice going forward in the future and like all your like crazy out of reach goals and the reason why they got to talk to you nice. That's what Talk to You Nice is about. The another segment is who has to pay. Meaning somebody hurt you, somebody did something, somebody didn't believe, whether it was a teacher, whatever. Who has to pay? So I want to start with that one.
Who has to pay?
I want to start with that one, and it's not about real money. It's about like when they see your grind, when they see you on the poster, right. When they see you on the flyer all the time. Like who has to pay?
Well, I mean, that's a simple one for a comedian. Like the people who would have to pay, like it's like all the people who doubted you. So in comedy, you pick those comedians that like you didn't think I was going to do what I did. You know what I mean? So you definitely got to pay. Yeah. Like triple what everybody else paying. Yeah. You got to pay. Like you could never be on the guest list. You got to pay. That'd be like I remember that like the T.K. Kirklands and all the comics that was like the way you see me, I seen them when I started. And it's two things you can do. And a lot of comics do it now because they're bitter. So a lot of comics now who got 20 years or better look back and frown upon the social media comics or the younger comics coming up and kind of like try to hold you back or keep you at arm's length. Like I'm not helping you with no information. Pass it on. Yeah. Pass it on. Yeah. And those cats that when I was that young dude, and I feel like I'm on fire, but I ain't on fire enough where I don't want to get information from the older OG. Yeah. Like, and you shun me like, well, I remember I told the story last week. Like, I'm never gonna forget that. Like, me and TK cool right now, but I never forget, dude. When I was on the come up, the first comedy awards at this club called Terminal D, Newark, New Jersey. They had a comedy awards. And they hit you up like a few days before after they do all these little voting tallies, whatever. And they called me and they said, bro, you're going to win Most Improved Comic. At this point, I'm going on 2 years in the game. It's like, you won Most Improved. So what we do is when we call you up to get the award, have about 12, 15 minutes set, ready to perform so people can see you in real time. No problem. Got my award, dude. I'm static on cloud, fucking 27 and do my 15, room, got him. And it was built like a long hallway, so I had to walk all the way back to where the bar was and the comedians hanging. First dude to pull me over, TK. I said, hey. My eyes are big, like, oh my God, it's TK Kirkland, what's up? Yeah. And he leaned in and said, yeah, that shit wasn't shit. You ain't said nothing I ain't heard before.
Yeah, he got to pay.
I said.
He got to pay.
So now my face changed, right? So I'm continuing my walk to the back. Terry Hodges is back there. He said, come here, man. What that nigga just say to you? I said, this nigga just said, I ain't do shit he ain't heard before. Terry Hodges said, talent. Let me ask you a question. Where you at? I said, Terminal D, Newark. He said, where that nigga at? I looked over, I said, Terminal D, Newark. He said, why you listening to this nigga? Exactly. He in the same spot you went.
Same spot.
Fuck that nigga. Fuck that. I said, yeah. Fuck that nigga. And but stuff like that stay with you.
Yeah, I realize that in this game when people get too big-headed or too outside themselves, that sometimes they'll talk shit about you, and then you guys are in the same room. It's like we still here, we still work in the same places, man.
The funny thing about me, bro, I give nobody nothing like that. Like, so anybody that's mad at me, I'm not talking baby mamas and personal life shit. I'm talking this game. Yeah. Anybody in comedy that pulls aside some negative shit on talent, that's your own problem. Facts. Because I ain't do shit to nobody. I ain't do nothing but play this shit right.
Always been.
You understand what I'm saying? And if I don't talk to you or don't fuck with you or don't book you or whatever, that's business reasons. I don't put that personal shit in there. You know what I mean? Like I was on a cruise, Kenny Williams had a cruise, and Dawn B was on there. And at the dinner table, she thought this was a good time to, challenge my reasoning for doing shit and how I moved. And she was laughing and joking. I know where she goes, yeah, because talent don't fuck with me. And I said, whoa. I said, hold on, before we even go any further, are we having a real conversation? Yeah. She's like, yeah, we're having a real conversation. I said, all right, cool. I said, well, first of all, I fuck with you. She said, no, you don't fuck with me. You never booked me. I said, those are two different things. I fuck with you because if I didn't fuck with you, you wouldn't be here.
True.
I wouldn't allow them to have you in my same space because I'm the guy picking and choosing who get to be around me for the comedy. So because he said, oh, I'm booking Dawn B, I like Dawn B. Dawn B cool. I see you there. No problem. I said, but you're right. I don't book you. And I explained to her it wasn't nothing personal. She thought it was because personal reasons. I said, no, Dawn. I said, your comedy is a little, at this stage of the game, what I did over the last 20 years is build the brand. The brand falls back on me and my name. True. So I book so much shit. And not just these clubs y'all see us in. I'm booking for Coca-Cola's Christmas party or this corporate event or blah, blah, blah. So because of that,
I have
to be real careful of putting the shows together and who I put in places. And I said, to me, being around you all these years, you are in that bracket to me like a loose cannon. So I can't really gauge it and know it's going to go right. And if it doesn't go right, guess who it falls on? Because I've had guys that I put in positions over the years that didn't do what they were supposed to do, and nobody got paid. Because everybody's money's in the check.
True.
So the people or the organization go, oh, dude, we signed a contract. You wasn't supposed to do this. He did that. We're not paying nobody. And now it's not right because I booked 5 of y'all, but guess what? All 5 of us didn't get no money because this one guy violated what he was supposed to do. So I had the clarity in that moment, but that's the thing, man. So, that's what that is, bro.
That's crazy. That's real crazy. But another one of my segments I have for you, Talent, is it's called Green Room Vibes. I don't think I told you this. It's Green Room Vibes. Like, describe like the aesthetic of your like great green room. Like some people like you crowded. Some people pray before. Some people have a drink before shows. Some people like what's like your green room vibe like aesthetic?
I do all of that in one. So there's no wrong answer in that. The only thing is, don't fuck up the vibe. That's my thing. Like I had a show a month ago. And I had to go outside the green room. When I leave the green room, that means something's wrong. If I'm the headliner, if I'm the guy, right? And I'm in there, and you see me at some point, not to go on stage, but I just stand outside the green room, something ain't right in the energy of the green room. Don't fuck up the vibe. I want drinks to be flowing. I want little knick-knack snacks to be out for people, cheese, crackers, fruit, some wings maybe.
Tony Robbins,
everybody have a good time.
Western movies.
Yeah, I mean, everybody have a good time. I don't care. You can get a drink. But when they come in and it's too crowded, it's obnoxious, I don't know who these people are.
Exactly.
You came in with 10, he came in with 10. Now it's like I go stand outside because now the vibe is changing and I still got a show to do and I want to be focused. No disrespect to y'all, but it's a little much.
Yeah, and it's your show.
Saying? Yeah, it's a little much. So I'll be like, I'm going to go outside. So the perfect green room could be crowded and it could be not crowded. It's about the vibe. So as soon as somebody fuck the vibe up, so goes the green room.
Fact. This has been an amazing podcast. But I would like to know, I got 2 like ending questions. It's very important to me. It's like tell us the people, tell us your why of like why you do what you do.
I do what I do because I love this thing called comedy. I eat, sleep, and drink it. And I remember as a little kid, and this is probably the biggest why because I had it all wrong. As a youngster, I used to look at comedy and I didn't know it was an occupation. I didn't know people did this for a living. It looked like a hobby to me. It was so much fun. So I'm like, these people are having fun. I want to do that shit, right? But I'm thinking in my mind, it's a hobby, so I plan in my brain, this is coming out of late teenage years. I'm like, yo, I had a record deal. I'm like, yo, I'm going to do my record deal shit. I'm going to be the rapper. And then when I retire from that shit, I'm going to do that comedy shit because that's fun, not knowing it's occupation. And then came Def Comedy Jam and shit like that. Yeah. And then I said, oh, this is a job. Niggas are getting paid. They're cutting checks.
Give me some money out here.
Right. And I'm young, and I'm like, you know what? We got some contract shit going with the rap shit and the label. And this shit was stagnated for a couple of years, and I was like, you know what, me make a hard left. And it's a good thing I did, too, because that never got resolved, right? And back on track. So I made the hard left, and as soon as I did it, it came into fruition in my mind. I had an epiphany that this was a calling. All this time I'm thinking I had it wrong. I'm thinking this is a choice of doing a hobby and all that. I was called to do this. This is why I was already gravitated towards that energy, why I was checking it out at a very young age and being around and all that stuff. And even my boy who started before me, write little things for him. It was a calling. I just had to wake up and answer the call.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's my why, you know? And to this day, I respect that, and my faith is super strong.
It piggies back on what you said earlier with the heavy faith and heavy everything too, man. Everything.
Perfect example. This chain, right?
Yeah, perfect.
So this chain right here, if you can't see it, everywhere you see me, this little black medallion is onyx, right? Only a year and a half into comedy, this is where I get this chain. I was working at Peppermint Lounge with Bob Sumner and them. Bob and them had a band, an African band. And I got in cool with the band, whatever the case may be. The band gave me a gig, you know, went to Africa with the band for a few days. And after working with me, they, man, we appreciate blah, blah, blah. And I got paid, but they came in with 2 pieces of jewelry. They came in with this thing, the medallion, and they came in with a bracelet. And on the back of it, my name was on the top part, and it said talent. And when you flip it over, it was inscribed on the back, was written in Swahili, God be with you, right? And I thought that was great, right? Even though I don't wear jewelry, but I still got that thing in my watch case at the house. And this, we're talking 30 years ago. And this, I was like, and I'm thinking like every ignorant black dude from the hood, I'm going to put my name in there, Jesus, or whatever. And it was like, no, don't put nothing in it. You can't desecrate it. It was like, this has a meaning. This circle, this dark circle is your light at the end of a tunnel for a black man in America. And I'm like, but it's dark. He said, that's the point. You're not supposed to have light. The way it's set up for you in America is to not have light. So you wear this as a constant reminder that you're not promised anything. You got to make your own light. And it's a constant reminder, daily reminder, quick as you get shit, quick as it could go.
Wow.
So cherish the moments, make them last, be fruitful.
Wow. I mean, I feel like, well, first of all, what a perfect way. No, because like I feel like that story of your chain.
Your face, though.
Yo, it's crazy. I feel like the story of your chain brought this whole podcast full circle. And everything we spoke about today, everything about like trials, tribulations, success, what the success means, your ups, downs, like the how you started. I feel like all of that is in that
full circle. It comes back to the faith, bro.
Man.
Like I'm not a religious guy. We all grew up and our parents kind of try to make us do a religion thing, but when you get your own mind and you start to space out and become an individual and an adult, you pick it apart. And either you're going to stay Catholic, stay Baptist, stay Pentecostal, whatever it is, or you're not, and I'm not. Like, I realized how to separate religion from my faith in God and a higher power. And he has shown me way more than enough to know that he's real. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
So we ain't going to have, and nobody's ever going to have that conversation with me and get me to and think the other way. Yeah. Now, religion is different. Religion is the organization of some sort of community committee and gathering, to me, no disrespect to any religion, but to kind of capitalize off of God.
Fact.
You know what I mean? Like, God is not here to be capitalized off. As a matter of fact, that's the whole point of us giving back, is for us to give, not take, And
that's also like coming back. That's the reason why Fen and Friends Podcast was created, was because we're really just trying to inspire. We're trying to motivate. We're trying to give flowers, and we're trying to give gems to help the next comedian, to help the next entertainer, to help the next actress, the next actor, man. We want to see like I remember you said a good quote. You was like, I just want to pass the baton and know it's in good hands, like when you're done. I think that's kind of like what we're trying to show here in this podcast, man. And I think you helped tremendously with your story and getting that message across. That's what it's all about, man. Somebody had to give you the baton, no matter what you do. I don't care if you're a sanitation worker, office clerk, whatever you do. Somebody was before you. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta, at the end of the day, at least I do what I do, hoping
that person, whether they're with us or no longer with us, is proud of me. And I did them proud. Because the worst thing you can do is take a baton and fuck the race up.
Yeah.
And the nigga before you was like, this motherfucker, man, we had the race.
Yeah.
I gave this nigga the baton. This nigga went to 7-Eleven, got a hoagie. Like, so the worst thing you could do is not do it a good service, do a disservice to something good. And I hope in my heart of hearts, like, people, when you hear me say the word Monteria Ivy, go look at HBO Snaps that we put out. The guy hosting that whole battle with Tracy Morgan and Monique and myself and Ricky Smiley, the guy you see hosting, that's Monteria Ivy. Wow. And he was the epitome of a perfect host. Like, and he taught all that and passed all that down. When you mesh together, these are the hosts that I'm a hybrid of. I'm Bill Bellamy.
Nice.
I'm Terry Hodges.
Nice.
I'm Hamburger. And I'm Monteria Ivy. And if you look these four up, you'll see the hybrid when you see talent. That's
fire. That's so fire. I guess this may be a cliche question, but it's a question that I feel like it would also help. What advice would you give the, aspiring comedian, aspiring actor? Like, what's one advice would you give them?
Well, if you're thinking about doing it, there's two different types of advice. If you're thinking about doing it, make sure. Take yourself through the ringer of questions. Make sure this is what you want to do. Because again, the worst case scenario, you'll come in the game and doing a disservice to it. And nobody want to be that guy. Now, if you're already in it, the best advice I can give a comic right here, a new comic, is stay on stage. Because there's two journeys. There's the journey that you think you're on. Oh, I want a TV show. I want it. That's one thing. But then there's a real journey of finding yourself.
Yeah.
And you're never going to be or know who you are as a comedian until you get to that point. And we don't know when that's going to happen. To be honest with you, I see it could take 10 years. It could take 20 years. It could take 1 year. We don't know. For each individual is different. But you'll know when you find yourself on that stage, because there you are and who you're going to be. You don't metamorphose anymore, because it's a lot of changing. And you metamorphose, you keep changing. Like when I go back and I look at myself, I can kind of look at stuff and gauge, oh, I found myself here. Because I'm looking at myself, oh, you used to wear suits.
Yeah.
Then it was vests. Then it was hats. Then it was this, and it was that. Because you kept changing, trying to find who you are and most comfortable with being. And then something clicks and you arrive.
Yeah, you hit.
And when you arrive, you know you're there.
Heineken holding, chain rocking.
You know you're there.
It's just comedy, baby.
That's it, B.
Man, what a great episode. You guys were tuned in to Fen and Friends Podcast. This is my great friend, great mentor, the GOAT of all GOATs to me. This guy, give it up for talent, the comedian.
Peace, everybody. Love y'all, man.
Out.
Fen and Friends, baby.
Fen and Friends. Subscribe, like, share. We out here. Thank you. That was fire.
Daddy, I don't know, but I love you so much. My screen's not working to turn pictures on, so can you please do tomorrow when I come home? Thank you, and make sure to call me when I get up, okay? Thank you, I'm getting up early. Thank you, Daddy, I love you so much.